Here I am talking into the void, talking into the internet. So, let's make fun of some really bad op-eds, some hot takes as it were. We'll do today's Real Clear Defense in a bit here. It is May 30th. 3 days ago. Record number of Russian soldiers going AWOL. So, Russia's collapsing, the morale is collapsing, faced as many as 100,000 casualties, it's completely made up. Kremlin did partial mobilization, 300,000 men pulled up. True figure likely to be higher, but then they're saying up to 1 million Russians chose to flee. That's entirely made up. I've seen 500,000, which is already a round and somewhat ridiculous number. But they're talking about AWOL, which is absent without leave if you're not a military person. So what they're talking about is, as of May, which is month 5, just over 1,000 cases. Last year, they only had about 1,000 for the whole year. But look how much they hyper-analyze how many Russians are going AWOL. And yeah, you'd expect that if there was a call-up, I suppose. Okay, they are making it more of a crime to go AWOL. It's already a crime. But just look at how much they kind of analyze this. Okay, and here they say 12 cases are heard this week alone. Well, okay, those are the cases. It's 12 times 54 is only about 624. So I don't know if these guys are going to be stuck in a gulag for a while their case goes through court. I don't really know what legal defenses there are for that. But again, why are we so concerned that out of 300,000, probably more, additional soldiers on top of a 1 million man army, well, okay, maybe 2,000 went AWOL this year. Is that going to matter for anything? The rising number of AWOL cases hints at the true state of morale and a degree of desperation amongst mobilized Russian troops. I mean, amongst a very small percentage, I suppose. What is 300,000 divided by 2,000? I got that wrong. Right? 300,000, probably more. What am I even looking at? Oh, 6. Got the sign of the beast. Minus 4 exponents. You got to move the decimal point over a lot. They're talking about the storm shadow. All right. So what's actually happening? Let's take a step back. What's actually happening is storm shadows are low-flying cruise missiles. They look like this. They have to be dropped from a relatively high height by aircraft that have enough lift. So it's only certain types of aircraft. But they use GPS. Well, guess what? Russia jams and I'm sure spoofs GPS. They've got a whole suite of electronic countermeasure weapons. Does the U.S. have that? Well, no. What do they have? They have something like the Angry Kitten, which is a thing. It's like a pod that, you can stick on something. Let's see if they have a picture of it. No. Nonsense. And kind of looks like this. And it's a electronic radio thing, which means it can mimic various different types of other... It's a programmable radio, so it can mimic other types of electronic devices. It was used for testing and simulations. And now it's being used, or they're sort of thinking about using it, rigging it up as an offensive weapon you can put on planes or drones and such things. But it's like... Has it been tested in combat conditions? Well, no. I mean, this is beyond the prototype phase, but it's a prototype for that use. Whereas the Russians have a whole suite. I'll see if I can pull this up sometime. Not today. But I saw a list of like 6 different things that are apparently in each of these, roughly 100 brigade combat teams that are in use at any given time. And here they're talking about how they're getting shot down, at least according to the Russians, and they're getting jammed, and they don't work. Now this one is relatively optimistic. But Storm Shadows, HIMARS, the rest of it, it's all just jammed, shot down. Yeah, you see a few get through every once in a while, but nothing that's going to affect anything. So this is spin, right? They're not saying, hey, we're sending more GPS missiles because the HIMARS didn't work and the JDAMs didn't work, so let's send another missile that uses the same exact technology. Why would this work any better? All right, let's look at the ridiculous headlines. You can see a lot of these. NATO is drawing up further plans to go to war with Russia. Implicitly saying we're at war with Russia now. Don't look now, Ukraine may have just won the war. Okay. There's no coup. They're talking about how Ukraine is suddenly finding itself plagued with logistical challenges. Well, this has been going on for quite a while, but what they're not saying is that Russia is blasting these huge supply depots and bridges and the rest of it. And they're doing a lot of this. And by the way, from that last article, so Russia saw the postcard, saw it was the 7th Regiment for aircraft. And guess what? They blew up 5 of the aircraft, which are in limited number, right on their own way. So I don't know how many more aircraft Ukraine has that could fire these things, but they got hit really bad. A witch has cast a spell to allow Ukraine's military to dominate. Now I want you to just kind of use your eyes, and again I don't mean it as an insult, but I just want you to use your eyeballs and tell me what you think the key takeaway of this is. Well, they're talking about a witch, lawyer who became a mortar commander fighting Russians in Bakhmut. Full-scale invasion, they have to say that, blah, blah, blah. My call sign is from 2014. Is that the Maidan Revolution? I'll tell you about my call sign, but after the war. I bet it's really interesting. A young mom became a warrior. So what is the key takeaway? Talking about inside the Battle of Bakhmut, which Ukraine lost. They have to leave. Wagner famously recruited murderers, rapists, and drug dealers from the inside of the Russian prison system. And what they're saying is they flung completely expendable prisoners at mums. And I've seen other articles talking about, hey, we're going to send farmers, retirees, and women to the front line at the Bakhmut. Now, what are your eyes telling you? Your eyes are telling you that this person should probably not be in the meat grinder. This is like a cell phone, right? This is a cell phone, and they're trying to spin it like it's a brag. She's a witch. There's like superstitious stuff going on. I don't know, man. Is this a single mother? Well, why is she out there? But this one I really found very amusing. Did Ukraine just win the war? Did it? Did Ukraine just win the war? So they're still talking about Russia withdrawing from Kiev 6 weeks after its unjustified but poorly planned invasion in Ukraine last February. So let's talk about the first start of the war. So everyone is saying that Russia really goofed up. They lost a ton of tanks. They got ambushed. And then they had to withdraw and have defensive lines. And that has been pretty much static ever since. And the reason that it's been static ever since is because Russia sucks, basically. Now, what actually happened? Well, what actually happened was Russia would have been all right with a capitulation. They sent a bunch of tanks and some other stuff to Kiev. And by the way, there weren't that many tanks to start with. There was maybe 1,100. It was 110 brigade combat teams, 10 tanks per, and most of the other stuff was obviously left behind. Otherwise, we would have seen it. So Zelensky said, okay, I'll sit down and negotiate. And then the tanks left, and they formed roughly this line up to about here and here. Now, what do your eyes tell you about that? What do your eyes tell you about that? Well, the Russians had been here for some years, mostly Wagner. But what the Russians did when they withdrew is they captured this land bridge with basically no resistance. And they also beat up some Azov bad guys in Azovstal, which is here somewhere. But they captured this land bridge, which is this very important supply route that Ukraine has been trying to knock out ever since, not successfully. And this allowed, there's a water route somewhere in Kherson that gets water down to Crimea. Not sure if that's a pipeline or what, but yeah, it's how they get fresh water. So this was very important. And the key point is that Russia needed to take this land, and they took it. So, was that first 6 weeks a failure? Anyway, they always bring it up. This is like, let's say you get a new job and you mess up. Like the first couple weeks you're making mistakes. And what if, like a year, 2 years later, people keep ragging on you? Like, oh, there's the guy that forgot the SOP. There's the guy that forgot to do the TPS reports. When it's... Imagine how, like, ridiculous that would be. It'd be, like, really annoying. So, you could forgive Russia for being a bit amateurish in the first few weeks, but I think that they succeeded and they got all of their main mission parameters. Yeah, they were hoping for just a Zelensky capitulation, but barring that, they knew they were going to have to fight. They knew they'd have battle lines roughly here. They knew they needed the land bridge, and, you know, even being on this side of the river was a little overambitious, but they've been fine ever since. And, by the way, I just want to point out, what do you see? Really, what do you see with your eyes? Well, you see power outages, and you see lots and lots and lots of red artillery and rifle icons. This is Russia going on the attack. So we're supposed to have a big spring counteroffensive. Right now, at least right now, you just see this. And by the way, you will see Ukrainian icons if they have any shelling. Why do you not see any blue shell icons? Well, you don't see any blue shell icons because Ukraine really isn't doing any shelling. Let's pick a random day in March. Here's a much more complicated map. You see Ukraine doing some more stuff. Blue icons. And again, this is from the Western perspective. So if they were doing shelling, they would tell you. Anyway, you can skip all this. So what this author is trying to say is, the generic Adam Simpson sounds like a made-up name. What they're trying to say is, because NATO finally said, okay, we're going to give you long-range weapons, and we're going to give you these mighty F-16s, which are, I believe, 50 years old. These modern 50-year-old from the 70s, fighting Falcons. That's going to turn the tide. And not even because those weapons are going to win the war, but because it's like the West saying, yeah, we're going to stay with you till the end, and we're going to give you everything that you want. Except, of course, that the West is only giving them, 50-year-old equipment and missiles that get jammed and not enough artillery and all that kind of stuff. Maybe they'll send ATACMS instead of Storm Shadows or Taurus missiles or other things. Hey, what could go wrong with a bigger but longer range version of the HIMARS missile that uses the same GPS-guided technology? I'll let you think about that. Ay. All right. Mood of Alabama, funny name, great blog. So here they're talking about drone strikes in Moscow, missile strikes in Ukraine. So again, you're looking at Real Clear Defense, you don't hear anything about this. Oh my god, drones hit Moscow. Some drones caused some scorch marks on the side of a building. That's about it. Apparently a bunch of these drones hit trees and power lines and whatnot. At least according to the Russians, 196 HIMARS rockets, 16 HARM, which is the anti-radar, 29 Storm Shadow cruise missiles were destroyed during the period, which I believe was 1 week. They've got a clobber report. This is blocked from my end. Let's do a free speech check, shall we? Can I get to this? Oh, no, I can't. Huh. Maybe I gotta talk to these guys. Weird. I kind of assumed it was blocked on our end. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So, this is a short blog article from Moon of Alabama, but he's basically making the case that this is all symbolic. By the way, apparently Russia's saying that they destroyed now both Patriot missile batteries, or by destroyed I assume damaged or destroyed at least the radar and or control node and some of the launchers. Hey man, I've seen the satellite, I've seen the video. Sure seems like that happened around Kiev, and I actually don't know where the second Patriot missile battery was located. But man, Simplicius, the Thinker, another excellent blog, maybe even better than Moon of Alabama. So, first off, the guy makes an enormous amount of stuff. Like, I really, really admire this. He's got satellite of a second, I think it was the first Patriot missile battery being destroyed. And yeah, he talks about Russia destroying those 5 aircraft that can launch Storm Shadows. It's got the icon that somebody sent, basically bragging that, hey, we're gonna really stick it to Putin. Looks like the Russians found out that this is the 7th Air Regiment, blasted everything on the runway, pretty much undermined that. Here they're talking about Patriot missile production. Math would get a little difficult, but you could do the spreadsheet and figure this out. But yeah, recently Ukraine used up half a year's worth of missiles. Here's a really unpleasant guy threatening civilians. Here is threatening retaliation. Yeah, you see attacks all over Ukraine because Ukraine is winning. Oh god, what was this? That's a Storm Shadow hit. Apparently. Look how much stuff he's making. Look at all this. And, you get mystery fires in Belgorod and places. Not normally military equipment. There's been a lot of reports of, this is not new, launching strikes across the border. God, look at all this. So Russia is in the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. And Euromaidan, which is Ukraine, is saying that Russia is going to blow up their own nuclear power plant that they're in, and then use it as a false flag to blame Ukraine. So these people are just really kooky. What is this? Oh god, that's loud. Oh man. Yeah, man, check out this. Russia, I've seen articles talking about Russia can't make ball bearings. They can't make engines. They can't make anything. Nope. They're definitely a spacefaring nation. So they're launching new weather satellites and also spy satellites. Russia has their own version of GPS. Russia has all this stuff. So this is what I really want to talk about. Patriot missiles are made in America and fail everywhere. They're referencing this other article. Man, he just really bashes him over the head. So, Patriot missile batteries are the best thing ever. They're just amazing. They're shooting down Kinjals. They're doing all this stuff. Except, yeah, maybe Patriot missile batteries have never hit anything ever. Okay. And there's a lot to that. Let me see if I can play this.
великая страна.
God. Yeah, I mean, Ukraine is all about media.
Прийшли окупанти до нас в Україну. Російські танкісти.
They're singing about Bry Reactors. I don't want to play too much. Prize drones almost entirely shot out. That's cool. Clobber report. Russia says they've destroyed 72,000 people and a whole bunch of stuff. That's what they say. Alright, I gotta play this. I won't play the whole clip again, but... No! Oh my god. So that happens. Mortar doesn't go very far at all, and it's on fire. They shoot more mortars, but all the other mortars, they go all these different distances, and it looks like they're landing like, I don't know, 20, 30 yards from them. I mean, if my mortar was malfunctioning, I'd probably stop putting mortar shells in, you know? I mean, that's just me. That's just me. I don't even know if they're the right size or the right caliber. You know, Germany can't make tanks that work. Patriot missile doesn't do anything. It's a big Z. Look at all this content. And it's all... I mean, I don't want to laugh at this stuff, especially with the people being injured, but it's just so ridiculous. Anyway, this is a pretty mighty takedown. Another thing I might want to say is... So this is also Simplicius. Maybe go to Dark Futura. I'll talk about this some other time, but the dead internet is a thing. And I don't know, I think we've got, if not a dead internet, then some kind of a zombie internet. But maybe next time. Take it easy.